Welcome back, you guys, welcome back. I'm the FC, this is Blue9 CV, and welcome to the match preview of our upcoming game tomorrow night against Lille in the Champions League. You heard it right, you guys, the Champions League's back, and in today's match preview, I'm going to break down the press conference, the lineup, who our opponents are, and the tactics to beat Lille in tomorrow's game. Before I get into anything though, if you do like today's video, do not forget to press that like button. Help me get over 1,500 likes for today's video, and we get straight into things, starting with Lampard and his press conference. Now, we start with the press conference, and to be honest, you guys, I'm barely going to spend any time covering this because it was quite pointless in my opinion. Throughout the press conference, they kept asking Lampard about the Ross Barkley incident in the cab. I'm not even going to waste my time talking about that. And he was asked the same old questions regarding the youth. Now, he said that with Rudiger being close to returning, could that affect Tomori's place in the team? Lampard said that they're not a one-for-one replacement, and he said that he's always wanted Tomori to stay with the first team because he's worked with him already and he really believes in him. Lampard said that N'Golo Kante has been very unlucky picking up that ankle injury against Man United, and that's been the main reason why it's been taking him such a long time to get back into the team. Lampard said that lessons have been learned after that disappointing 1-0 defeat against Valencia, stating that the team are going to be more focused and not switch off for any seconds. Now it was Aspi's turn to come on and continue on with the press conference. Of course it was going to be him. He used to play in Ligue 1, he can speak French, the guy can speak everything. So we get in straight to Aspi, and here's what he had to say. Aspi said that Lille have less experience than us, but they do have an advantage playing at home. And that's something that the team needs to be wary of, as the Lille team will get supported heavily by their fans. Aspi said that since Jorginho has arrived at the club, he's been very impressed with the player. Aspi was asked about Ross Barkley, and what's he really going to say? He said that he likes Ross, and that was really it. He was asked about his development under Lampard for this season, with Aspi saying that it's natural that he has to adapt. Lampard has his own tactical instructions. He wants the fullbacks to cross more and shoot more, and Athby said that he is adapting to the high intensity football. And boys, on that note, we move on to the predicted lineup part for today's video, but before we get into that, one more quick announcement. Now, before I continue on with the predicted lineup part for today's video, I want to quickly announce to you guys that I'm now able to offer you guys a 10% discount code if you want to buy any official club merchandise. As I've said so many times, you'll find links in the description below, and if you want to apply for that 10% discount off your orders, all you need to type in is Nini10. I feel happy that I've finally been able to get this discount code to give to you guys. And on that note, we move straight into the predicted lineup part for today's video. Now, we get into things, and as I can admit, I have gone for a very ambitious lineup in the game tomorrow. Now, I did contemplate using a 4-3-3 because, in games like this and in Europe, maybe Lampard may do the safe thing and decide to pack the midfield. But I think that with Kante possibly playing in tomorrow's game, as well as Reece James, I think that Lampard is going to go for it and stick to the main tactical principles. Now, we saw that Reece didn't play against Brighton, and I think that Lampard was saving him for this game tomorrow. I do feel confident that Reece is going to do bits against Lille. And if you guys stay to the end for the tactical segment, I'm going to explain exactly why. I know that maybe I'm being a bit too ambitious expecting Hudson-Odoi to start in tomorrow's game, but I think that this would be a good game to utilise a player. I think realistically, he may come on as a substitute instead, but for this lineup, you guys, I don't care. I want to stick to my convictions, and I'm going to take a risk. The reason why I feel like we may see him is because we may see that combinational play between him, Mason Mount and Tammy Abraham. When Hudson came on, I felt like Mason Mount came alive because he had an attacking player to link up with. And to end things, I've gone for N'Golo Kante. We know that he did train with the team, and I'm expecting him to play in tomorrow's game. We need him. We need his ability to spot the danger. We need his ability to cover ground. And of course, we need his technical ability on the ball. Now, Lille are a team that like to play on the counter-attack. And this is where N'Golo Kante can really help us in midfield and help us improve our defensive abilities. Now, in the comment section below, you guys give me your predicted lineups for the game tomorrow. Now that we're done with the predicted lineup part for today's video, who exactly are our opponents in tomorrow's game? For this next segment, I'm going to let you guys know the key stats and information that you need to know about our opponents Lille. Now we move on to Lille, and they're currently coached by Christopher Gaultier, who replaced Bielsa last season. Since he signed for the club, he's really helped turn around Lille. He got them into Europe last season, that's why we're playing against them, and so far in Ligue 1, Lille are currently 4th in the league. Now in the Champions League, they did lose 3-0 against Ajax, but when you look at the game, and if you saw the stats, they told a completely different story. With Lille, they produced a ton of opportunities down the counter-attack, but they weren't clinical in front of goal. And that's what ultimately cost them in that game. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Is that really a surprise, Nini? With no Nicolas Pepe, are Lille really that good? And do we really need to be worried about our opponents? Of course, we need to respect our opponents. And in tomorrow's game, there are 3 key players from Lille that you guys need to keep your eyes out for. The first player is Bamba. He plays down the left hand side and he acts as an inside forward. Now I see similarities with him and Alex Iwobi, but Bamba is someone that has a lot more goal contributions compared to Alex Iwobi. I'm just talking about the stylistic similarities. He's good at operating between the lines, he links up very well with the number 10s, and he's able to find his teammates with very good through balls between the lines. We move on to Lille's number 10 in Okoni. Now Okoni is a young 21-year-old French international. Lille did sign him from Paris Saint-Germain, and whenever I look at Okoni, I can't help but thinking what would have happened to Jeremy Boga. Because these two players are the same stylistically, the difference is Okoni gets used in his best position playing as a number 10, and Jeremy Boga gets forced to play out wide, isolated by himself. Now since leaving Paris Saint-Germain, Okoni's abilities have really stood out a lot more, and for me, he's the most dangerous player that we need to pay attention for. The guy's got great close control, a great accurate left foot, he finds guys between the lines, and he picks up very good positions as well. And to complete things, we move on to Oshiman, a young Nigerian forward which they signed from the Belgian league, and so far since he signed for Lille, this kid has been on point. Now what's really interesting about this player is his runs in behind and his movement off the ball. He is very intelligent, he likes to play off the opposition team's defensive lines to find areas in which he can exploit. He regularly withdraws from the opposition's defensive line, meaning that he can be very hard to pick up and mark. And Oshiman uses his intelligent movement in behind to very good effect. The only thing that's holding him back so far is that he's not as clinical yet as he can be, but that's understandable because he's still a very young striker. Now that I've told you about Lille, we move on to the final part for today's video, and that's going to be how we can beat Lille from a tactical point of view. Now to end this match preview, we move on to the tactical segment for today's video. Here I'm going to discuss what we need to do to get those 3 points against Lille in tomorrow's game. Now Lille tend to use a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-4-2. Against Ajax, they did use a 4-4-2 system, but I think because they're going to be at home, and with how their manager was talking so confidently about how he believes in his young team, I think they may stick to their principles and continue to use a 4-2-3-1. Now, Lille tend to do their best work playing on the counter-attack. In tomorrow's game, I see them using that same approach, and to create effective counter-attacks against us, I see them doing this. I see Lille exploiting the areas in behind our fullbacks, and to create these opportunities behind our fullbacks, I see them playing a lot of fast direct balls in behind them. Their inside forwards will collect the ball in these areas here before looking to move more in fields between the lines to link up with Okoni, their number 10, and to allow Oshiman to use his intelligent movement in behind to try and find spaces to exploit. Lille's attacking players are the key components of their team and their system, and it's no surprise why their manager is going to look to find a tactic to get the ball to these guys on a regular basis. So, what does that tell us? It tells us that we need to limit Lille on the counter-attack. Now, the 2 players that could be helpful in helping us limit Lille's counter-attacking threat will obviously be N'Golo Kante, who really has good defensive awareness, he spots danger, and he stops counter-attacks by himself. And of course, it's going to be interesting to see how Reece James does play, of course if he plays in tomorrow's game. I've always spoken about how Lampard is going to use Reece James in a more inverted infield role, and I think that if it means that our attacking players have more license to bomb forward, maybe at moments during the game we'll see Reece James tucking more inside midfield. Now, one game that I did watch to prepare myself for that game tomorrow was Lille's game versus Ajax. I also watched every highlight from Lille this season, which was currently available online, and I noticed a particular pattern. Lille are very defensively weak, defending the wide areas. Now, when it comes to their manager Christopher, he likes to use two pragmatic style fullbacks. Fullbacks aren't going to venture forward too much because he understands that they can become more susceptible in the counter-attack. That's because there's a lot of creative freedom given to their attacking players, so defensive balance needs to be met. But what tends to be the case though, is that Lille becomes susceptible to overloads down their flanks. And with nearly most of the goals they've conceded this season, I'd probably say a good 70% have come down from balls being played down the flanks. And a lot of times they're low-driven crosses or simple cutback passes into the box. So what does this tell us? It tells us that we constantly need to move possession from left to right, because eventually you're going to create gaps and spaces between the lines yourselves. The overloads come because their wingers don't really come back as much, and they don't have that same defensive responsibility that you'd really expect them to have. Now, one way in which we create those overloads out wide is the use of our players between the lines. So now, we like to have guys in the half spaces, so I'm expecting Hudson-Odoi and Willian to move more in field when we attack, because what this is going to do is attract the attention of Lille's fullbacks. Now, of course, Andre and Samari will try their best to, close the space and gaps, but there's only so much they can do. Now, try and visualize the game. If we're constantly switching the play from left to right, creating bigger and bigger gaps between the lines, occupying their fullbacks and dragging them out of position, this means that we are going to have the 3-man option made out wide. And if that is going to be Reece James, which I'm really hoping is going to be the case, my God, imagine the type of crossing delivery we can expect from the player. I have to admit, you guys, I do feel a bit confident in tomorrow's game. We need to get the 3 points, that's imperative. If we want to qualify from this group, we need to beat Lille. And due to the tactical reasons I've explained, I think that we may win this game by 2-0. But you man, on that note, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. I'm LILLE FC, this is Blue Line CV. See you guys later.